I need to get to US politics now because it's only 9 days now until the first debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and a lot rides on the president's performance, of course. Overnight, the Democrats went on the attack, releasing this ad that's funded by the party and endorsed by Joe Biden. Have a look.
In the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Yeah, I took this up with Kristen Tate, who's been saying for ages that this is exactly the sort of attack the Democrats would rely on.
Yes, this is what the Democrats have been waiting. They've been waiting to call Donald Trump a felon, a criminal, because it's all they've got, Chris. They've got no track record of success to run on. This country and the lives of the people who live in it are worse off in every single way under Joe Biden than they were 4 years ago under Donald Trump. So the only thing they've got is to point at Donald Trump and say, look at him, he's an insurrectionist, and not only that, he's a criminal, and you should be afraid of him because he's going to throw the country into chaos. But I just don't suspect it's going to work this time around.
Well, it is extraordinary because when you look at the critique that comes from people like yourself, from people on the right of politics saying, look, these were very political charges. They were put up under democratic regimes to try and get a conviction against Donald Trump. And then that becomes the only basis of their election campaign. This man is a criminal. Don't vote for him. It kind of confirms the main attack against the Democrat strategy, doesn't it?
Of course it does. What they're trying to do right now is essentially just mobilize their own base. These are people who wouldn't vote for Donald Trump no matter what, but they might not be feeling as motivated to get out and vote for Biden or just to vote at all this time because prices are higher, everything's kind of worse off. So they're just trying to get those people to the polls by getting them worried again.
All right, well, we've got the first presidential debate just over a week away. It seems inconceivable that this thing's going to go off without a hitch. Let's have a look at former President Donald Trump. This is the sort of political promise he's making and not just the clarity of his messaging.
On day one of my new administration, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history. We have no choice. This is not sustainable.
He's talking about deporting illegal immigrants, deporting terrorists, people with terrorist links. This is a message that people are going to say, nodding their heads to, of course. There's so much clarity about what he's promising, whether you agree with it or not, Kristen. And so it brings this debate into focus. Now, I know we keep setting up these tests for Joe Biden, like the State of the Union address that he got through. He stumbled his way through it. It's a high risk, though, isn't it, for Joe Biden to go up against Donald Trump in just 10 days, 9 days' time now?
I mean, it is a risk, but, you know, we always underestimate Joe Biden, I think, as Republicans, because we know he's losing it. We know he's not mentally fit. And usually when it comes to these kinds of events, he surpasses expectations because that bar is so low. So I hope Donald Trump and his team are planning for this and really preparing Trump. 4 years ago, there was that debate between Trump and Biden where Trump was not prepared, clearly. He was interrupting and came off sort of out of control. And I think that hurt his campaign. And it was probably because Trump was underestimating Biden and thought, well, he's not mentally with it, so this will be so easy. So hopefully this time around, he will stick to the issues, not get sucked into Biden's, calling him a convicted criminal or anything like that. Really stick to the issues and remind Americans how much of a disaster the Biden administration has been. That is how Trump is going to win this debate, and it should be easy for him if he's prepared.
See, the thing is that the competency of Joe Biden is now starting to creep into the mainstream debate. I showed last night here on the program, I showed our viewers this footage of Joe Biden having to be led off stage by former President Barack Obama. Now, this created so much commentary about the fact that Joe Biden seemed to be a bit lost, a bit frozen, and Barack Obama had to really take control and get him off stage, that the White House has actually officially had to respond to this in a press briefing, and they referred to denials that there was any problem that came from Barack Obama. Have a look.
He said this did not happen in the sense of what people were saying they were seeing, right? Or what was being falsely reported that they were seeing. Let's not forget, President Obama, President Biden have a relationship. They are friends. They're like family to each other. And I think that's what you saw. You saw the president put his hand on the back of President Biden, and they walked off the stage.
Kristen, when the White House press sec is having to explain these sorts of things, it shows that it's really cutting through, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, at this point, their argument is don't believe your lying eyes. We all see what's happening. One of these videos comes out nearly every day at this point. And I know I say this almost every week, but it's really scary, Chris, because our enemies around the world are watching these videos too. It's not just us. They see that we have a frail, incompetent, elderly man running the free world. And that is so terrifying. It's just, this country is so weak because of a lack of leadership. And it might get to the point where he just clearly can't do the job and they will sub him out at the last minute. You and I have been talking about that for the last year. It could happen at the convention. Joe Biden could step down and they could usher someone like Gavin Newsom in. We just don't know, but it's clear that he's not up for the job. And at this point, anybody who's voting for Joe Biden understands that, but they're voting for him regardless just because they don't like Trump or something. But I don't think there's an American out there who doesn't realize that Joe Biden is not mentally fit to be president of the United States.
It's a fascinating and dismal situation, Kristen. I can't wait to catch up with you next week when we'll be previewing that debate, which will be just a couple of days away.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Chris.